welcome. It is time for the Great Zillow Debate. This is where we determine, is Zillow a good thing or not in the real estate community and for home buyers and home sellers. Today we have two amazing real estate agents. One's come all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona, and one from right here in San Diego to debate this very important topic. We have a few of our friends in the in-studio audience, so you may hear from them from time to time. We'll check in with them. And of course, share this video and comment. If you have a question or if you have something that you want to state, please do so right here in this feed. We'll be voting for the championship belt that you see right in front there on the table. The winner today, who wins the voting, is going to walk away with that championship belt. So the votes are going to be online only through the links posted in the comment thread below and on the Smarter San Diego Facebook page. It's time to meet today's contestants. First, the challenger, all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona, featured in Forbes, U.S. News, and the Wall Street Journal. He's the most recommended real estate speaker on LinkedIn and the founder of the Stop Zillow movement. He is a real estate maverick, Greg Hague. All right, Greg, take your position.
I'd shake your hands, but
you can punch me if you want.
Indeed.
And the champion from right here in downtown San Diego. He's the new breed of social media and technology-savvy real estate agents and a millennial. He's a top producing agent here in San Diego, contributing author for Inman News and host of the Ask a Realtor podcast web series. Please welcome back to the studio, Jason Cassidy. All right, fellas, it's time for the stare down.
There we go.
Before the smackdown. Keep it going. Keep it up there for a second.
There we go.
Yes, yes. All right, the online voting has begun. Look at the link below in the comment thread. It should be pinned to the top. That is where you can vote. You can also vote on the Smarter San Diego page on the left-hand side where it says poll. You'll be able to vote for who you think has won this debate, who's going to walk away with the championship belt that you see in front of you. All right, fellas, take your gloves off.
Let's do it.
It is time for the gloves to come off. It is the Great Zillow Debate happening right now live on Facebook. All right. Here's what we're going to do, fellas. Today's topics, we have several. We're going to cover everything that is Zillow related. The big question we are trying to answer today is the real estate market better with or without Zillow? There are two sides to that. There's the professional side and there's the consumer side. So we're going to be doing both. As the challenger, Greg, you'll be first with your opening statement. You have 60 seconds starting now.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. And Jason, it's a pleasure to be with you this morning. This is my 50th year in real estate. I mentioned that to you before the show, Derek, and hate to kind of say that, and let's just presume I got licensed when I was 3 years old. I've seen a lot of changes over the years, and the one that some have been good, some have not. And in my view, what has happened with companies like Zillow is one of the worst things to happen in the real estate industry. And the reason is I believe that we should be waking up every morning asking ourselves, how can we better serve our buyers, our sellers? How can we do a better job for the people who pay us, who depend on us? And Zillow came to the real estate industry. I was there many years ago, and they represented that what they would do is help us better sell homes. And instead, what they did is build a website that was about lead generation. How can they capture clients for real estate agents who pay, rather than how can they help home sellers sell, home buyers buy, and us do a better job of servicing the people who count on us.
All right, Greg, thank you for your opening statement. Jason, it is now your time to rebut with your opening statement. 1 minute.
Thanks, Derek. You know, I'm super excited to be here. I think getting in front of this large of an audience and really hopefully correcting some of what I feel is the misinformation out there about Zillow and their kind of secret plan or what they're trying to do to the industry. I think you know, there's some voices in the industry that refer back to the pre-internet days, the days of the MLS binders, and we're just simply not there anymore. And so I hope that I can use this platform to make that point.
Anything to do with taking the belt away today? Is that not a concern at all? Or
Obviously,
one of you mentioned that it's the most amazing belt I've ever seen.
It is the most amazing. I'm really excited to walk out with it. It's going to accessorize well.
All right, fellas. Well, let's jump in. Greg, you'll be starting first on the first topic. Topic number one. Has the Zestimate been a good thing? Greg, the Zestimate.
Well, as most realtors know, Zillow got started with Zestimates. Before they ever displayed homes, it was a website where consumers could go in and find out what the online valuation of their home was. Now, when Zillow started that many years ago, I didn't think it was any big deal because there were a lot of those automated valuation models out there. So people didn't take them seriously. I mean, Zillow didn't have a big name. People would go in and play with it, get the valuation of their home, kind of cool. I mean, it was like a toy, but they never really counted on it. The problem is that Zillow, because Zillow came to us and persuaded us to give it our listings, using our listings, it became a major brand. In fact, it is the #1 brand, the place where home buyers go to search for homes. So what's happened is because Zillow has such a big brand, its Zestimates now have that credibility. People actually believe this stuff. When a value, a Zestimate value of a home that's listed is posted next to the asking price, home buyers, if it's not consistent with the asking price, for example, if I have my home listed and the Zestimate value is less than my asking price, buyers who look at my home on Zillow, they believe that. They look at my asking price, they look at the Zestimate value, and they presume that I'm overpriced when I might not be overpriced at all. That's a huge problem because it actually takes home sellers and keeps them from selling. It turns buyers away, or if buyers do look at their home, it causes buyers to perhaps offer less than they should.
Jason,
now, and I just want to mention one other thing. With respect to Zestimates, Zestimates are admittedly inaccurate. This is not something that Zillow is even trying to make a point and say they're accurate. Spencer Rascoff, CEO of Zillow, sold his home 40% different than the Zestimate. That's when he came out and he was so embarrassed that he offered $1 million reward for anybody that could come up with an algorithm that would improve the Zestimates. So my big problem with Zestimates is in the beginning when nobody believed them because Zillow was a nothing, who cares? But when people believe them, people act on them. When buyers are misled by them because of Zillow's big brand, that's a major problem and people are getting hurt every day.
Jason, Greg says it's a big problem.
I think it's called as estimate for a reason. It's not as appraisal. That's kind of the talking point that I hear a lot. And I think that smart homeowners know to talk to a real estate professional to get a value of their home, right? And smart real estate professionals know how to speak to the Zestimate for what it is. It's an estimate. It's no different than a ton of automated home values that are out there, and I think it's a conversation starter. So if you look at it for the whole, for the real estate agents out there, there's homeowners out there that are seeing this Zestimate and getting the idea that, hey, maybe I should talk to a real estate professional about this, and it's creating conversations that may have not otherwise been there had the Zestimate not been there. Now, Greg's right. There's been inaccuracies since it started. To be honest, in my market here, I've seen agents miss the mark by 10, 20, and 30% too. I think that there's that's going to happen all the time. I think they have the margin of error of the Zestimate down to under 5% in most major metropolis cities. They're doing a really good job kind of honing it in. Like you said, they even have the reward, $1 million to anybody who can help improve the algorithm. I think they realized that there was an inaccuracy there in the beginning, and it's gotten much, much better. But for the industry as a whole, it's really started a lot more conversations, which is a good thing.
My rebuttal to that would be that I think, Jason, you started by saying that smart home sellers and smart home buyers would know that not to depend on Zestimates. And I would agree that there are savvy home buyers and home sellers who would know not to depend on Zestimates. But I would also argue that there are a lot of new home buyers, people who are 25–30% of all the homes that are sold to first-time home buyers. They don't know. They see Zillow as a huge brand. They're brand new in the market. They're not savvy and smart. And I'm not saying that as a criticism. They're just not real estate savvy and smart. So they believe these estimates. 25–30% of brand new home buyers look at it, and why wouldn't they believe it? And I know that Zestimates have had widespread negative impact, not just in terms of misleading buyers and sellers, but even one of the stories I told on a video was my sister, who's a retired police officer in Cincinnati. And this just like came out of the blue. She sends me a text one day a couple of months ago and says, "Greg, please call me immediately. I need to talk to you about Zillow. And I called her, and it turned out that her bank, where she had a line of credit, her like lifeline, she's a retired police officer living on a pension, her bank had called her and said, hey, we looked at the Zestimate value on your home on which your line of credit is based, and the bottom line is it's fallen so much, we're going to have to, you're either going to have to pay for an appraisal to dispute it, or we're going to cancel your line. And she said, this is ridiculous. She says, I built a barn, did this, my home is worth, I looked at the Zestimate, my home is worth so much more. She got, you have to know my sister, she's lived her life carrying a gun. Okay, so she's carrying, so it's just like, I will never pay $500 for an appraisal to prove that this ridiculous Zestimate is wrong. And the last thing I'd say is, in terms of the 5% variation, there are so many Zestimate valuations that are so off. We found one the other day. Now this is like laughable. 835 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, mobile home, valued at over $1 million. Valued at over $1 million. I mean, they're crazy. And so, yes, there may be some that are close to value, but take the ones that aren't. One buyer, one seller, one buyer that gets misled, even one seller that gets hurt. That's not right. I mean, I'll just finish by saying, I don't even understand why the Federal Trade Commission allows a defective product, admittedly defective, one that's hurting people every day, to stay out there. I mean, I almost wrote a op-ed for Forbes on that, and my PR people said, you know, Greg, that's a little aggressive going after the Federal Trade Commission. But so she shut me down and wouldn't let me do it. But I don't get it. They pull every other defective product off the market. Why do they not pull that off?
You said you're super passionate, and you've said a lot there, so I don't know how to point by point go through it all, but I would have to fact check the appraisal story. I don't know that any banks are using Zestimates as appraisals. I haven't heard of that. It hasn't been documented. I've never seen that before, and until we get to the point where that happens, I don't know that we can go off of that story. But then secondarily, you mentioned it in the beginning, is that homeowners or home buyers may be kind of tricked into it. That's where the real estate professional still really thrives and comes in and can kind of guide them through that process. They're not going to be bamboozled necessarily thinking that they can offer $1 million on a mobile home. I think the home buyer will realize that there's a valley there. Do
you not believe that the Zestimate is a dangerous situation?
No, not at all. Not at all. There's going to be one-off anecdotes for sure about a $1 million mobile home or something like that. But I think what we're talking on the macro level here, getting under 5% margin of error in most cities, like that's the type of thing that people will look to.
Okay.
But let me just comment. Even if the average margin of error, first of all, the mobile home I use is a ridiculous example. Nobody's going to be misled by that.
Totally outlier.
Totally. Nobody's going to be misled. It just makes the point that, let's say, and I just want to use, let's say you have a $300,000 home, and let's say that the valuation, let's take the 5%, and let's say that the valuation on it, this estimate, is $15,000 lower than it should be, 5%, right?
Totally.
That's a lot of money to people. I mean, that's a lot of money for a buyer to overpay, or a lot of money for a seller to have to give up because the Zestimate misled the buyer. I think that's a big deal, $15,000 even.
They're very, very clear about this not being an appraisal or an actual valuation, that this is just an estimate. Talk to a real estate professional.
But it's in the fine print. It's not next to every one of these listings. Warning, warning, this isn't accurate, this isn't right. You know, that if it had that, I'd be totally all about it. But when I list my home on Zillow, and that the asking price is this, and right below it, it has a Zestimate that is different from that, maybe 5 or 10 or 15% lower than that.
What about higher?
Pardon?
What about higher then? I'm sure there's been Zestimates that are a little bit
higher.
And
that misleads the buyer. That misleads the buyer.
Could that have helped the home seller then?
Yes.
Like, what I'm saying is you're arguing one point, but there's a counterpoint to that. I'm talking about the macro level of the product. I think it's been good.
And I'm talking about the individual, the person, the 1, the 2, the 100, the 500 people that get hurt and misled by it. That's after 50 years in real estate. That's what so bothers me. I don't look at the macro level.
Yeah.
I look at the individual that gets hurt.
Yeah, I think
He pulled the 50-year card.
he did.
Sorry.
What was the over-under on that?
Yeah, sorry.
I knew that was coming at some point. Tremendous discussion going here on the Zestimate, and a whole lot more to come. Make sure you share this post, especially if you're in the real estate industry. You owe it to the people who are in your sphere to share this post so they can hear this debate. We have live voting going right now. If you want to pull up the voting, I'll show you exactly where it's happening. Currently, Greg is out to a pretty good lead here so far. So, hey, if you're in Jason's boat and you're in his camp and you think you had this thing in the bag, you need to get on the horse here and make some votes. Make some votes happen. Share the post and ask people to vote for your boy because he's down quite a bit here. You can vote with the link that's posted in this thread. Also, right here, as you see on the left-hand side of the Smarter San Diego page where it says poll, people are commenting, lots of stuff is going on where it says poll right here. That'll take you right to where you need to go. We have comments flooding in. Keep them coming. We will get to your comments. We will be checking back in with this as well and our in-studio audience. We will also take questions from the in-studio audience after the next topic. So, topic number 2, fellas, let's jump in. This instant offer program with Zillow was a big deal. And Jason, we're going to start with you this time. Is the Zillow instant offer program a good thing for home sellers?
Can be. Yeah, I mean, they're testing. It's in 2 markets right now, so I don't think they even know what they have at this point. I think they just announced, I was at Inman Connect, the conference, and they announced that they were going to expand to Phoenix, I believe, or the Arizona area for the 3rd market. So I don't think they know what they have yet. I mean, I think at this point, from what they said on stage, basically half the people that go to get an instant offer do nothing. The other half actually, or a big portion of the other half actually talk to an agent. And so when it comes down to instant offers, I think what people are going to do is use it as kind of a baseline to get an investor offer. That's a very niche kind of person that's going to actually use that investor offer, and that's been around for a long time. WeBuyUglyHouses.com, and we'll sell straight to an investor for 10% less.
Wait a minute, who's sponsoring Jason's segment?
But that's always been around, right?
I saw you dropped it.
There's always been a distressed kind of inheritance, divorce situation where somebody fire sells out a house for cash right away. It's always been there. Now it's just in a marketplace online. What Zillow's done with that is they've actually incorporated the real estate agent. Opendoor and some of these other Redfin Nows don't even incorporate the real estate agents, whereas Zillow does, because they put the offer up against 3 investor offers, and then they have a realtor actually give you a CMA. And so what a big portion of the people who are actually making moves are doing is contacting that Zillow agent. So I think I've seen a couple times where there's a little bit of a scare that, well, they're trying to do away with real estate agents. I'm not all entirely sure that that's the case. Real estate agents are their main source of revenue. That would be a weird thing to do away with, your biggest client base. They've actually taken a chance to make that iBuyer kind of niche market and incorporate real estate agents. So I think it can be a good thing for home sellers. It gives them a baseline as to what their house's bare minimum is going to go for, and then it puts them in contact with a good real estate agent to get a good CMA.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Without question, instant offers is the single worst program that's ever been introduced into real estate, without question. Zillow introduced that program on May 22nd, and a couple of days later, that's when I was so infuriated because I saw right through that charade, and I'll tell you what that charade is. That's when I went into GoDaddy and looked, and StopZillow.com was available for $8.47. Bad on them for not tying that up. I bought that. I wrote this thing about how horrible, horrible instant offers is. I put it online, StopZillow.com, where you can see it today, and we had over 40,000 realtors sign a petition to stop it within a matter of weeks, and over 300,000 views. So let me tell you why instant offers is such a horrible, horrible program. Number one, Zillow came to the real estate industry years ago and said, if you will give us your listings, if you will empower us with your most precious asset, your listing data, we will help you sell those homes. So what do years later? Number one, over the years, instead of helping us sell homes, they take our listings and use our listings to generate consumer traffic that they sell off to the real estate agents who will pay the most, which I hate. They shouldn't be doing that. They should be waking up every morning thinking about how they can help you and me better sell homes. But then instant offer comes along. Instant offers is designed to take your sellers away, my sellers away, and the biggest thing is the way it hurts homeowners who would normally call you and me. So let me explain what it really is. Instant offers markets, as you know, Jason, hey, come to Zillow if you're thinking about selling your home. We'll give you a quick, we have 15 investors, 15 institutional investors, of which OfferPad is one. That's like a HomeVestors that you mentioned. We have 15 institutional investors, and they'll make an offer on your home, just put in some information, and you can have a quick closing, and you can stay as long as you want, and they may help you move, and it's all warm and fuzzy and all that stuff. Well, the bottom line is, so people go in, powerful messaging, sell my home easy, no aggravation, get it done now, move quickly, it's all good. So people go in, they put in the information, they put in their name, they put in their address or the information on my home, then they get their offer. Who takes the offers? Virtually nobody. Look at the stats. Less than, based on the last Inman article, less than 1 in 200 were taking the offer. Zillow knew from day one nobody was going to take the offers. These are institutional investors who buy low, sell high, and oh, by the way, charge a 9% service fee. And oh, by the way, you don't have representation from a realtor, you don't get an appraisal, and you don't have an attorney helping you, and you pay 9%, not the more traditional 5 or 6% real estate commission, 9%. Zillow knew that people weren't going to take the offers. Who would do that? As we know, generally home sellers want more than their home's worth. They're not willing to sell for less. Zillow uses this purely as a lead generation tool. It's to suck home sellers in, get them to put in the information, and then sell them off, make them solicitation targets for agents who will pay the most for leads. It is the single worst program ever launched into real estate. It hurts home sellers. It hurts home buyers. Why does it hurt home buyers? Because those few home sellers that would end up taking the instant offer, what happens, so they sell low, and then there's this 9% spread plus carry costs and profit, and the buyer, the inline buyer who ends up buying that house, is going to pay more than if they bought directly from the home seller. So sellers get hurt if they do take it by underselling. Buyers get hurt if they end up buying that home down the line by paying more. And all of these homeowners who think they're going in and getting a fair offer are really just giving up their information so it can be sold off to 80,000 premier agents.
Jason,
I
want to give Jason a chance to rebut here. There was a lot. There was a lot.
Again, there was a lot said, so I got to tack it down. But I think there's some fundamental misinformation there. I don't think Zillow knew from the get-go what was going to happen. How would they have known? It was a test. They tested it in 2 markets. They couldn't have known. But what is true is that niche market of iBuyers is expanding rapidly right now. Sites like Opendoor weren't around 3 years ago, and now they have 5% market share in some of their markets. There is a niche market of inheritance. You know, you're in Miami, you inherit your grandma's house in Phoenix, and you don't want to go fly out there and deal with selling it. You will gladly take the 10% haircut to get that cash in today. That are gonna use this iBuyer type service, an Opendoor, or Redfin Now, or now a Zillow Instant Offers. But what Zillow has done is realize that, played in this market, but it's such a small niche of the entire real estate market. I don't think that there's a secret plan to really kind of, this kind of ultimatum backdoor type stuff. I think what they saw was the market shifting in certain markets. They kind of pivoted, and now they've got this instant offer product, and it's working.
It's working okay. So Jason says it's working.
Well, my reply to that would be, yes, it is working. It is absolutely working. Hundreds and thousands of people are going in and giving up their name and their address and information on their home. They're not taking the offers. They're simply getting sold off to agents and becoming solicitation targets, and that's not what they intended. That's not disclosed. That's the problem with instant offers. I realize, let me just say, there's a niche market of people who want to sell quickly and are willing to, as you say, take a haircut. I would just say take less than fair value for the convenience of selling now.
Right.
That's not what this is about. There are firms that cater to that. As you mentioned, HomeVestors, OfferPad, Opendoor. I don't like their model because I hate to see people sell for less than their home's worth, but it's everybody has to, everybody's a grown-up, so do what you do.
Right.
What I hate about instant offers is that's not what it's designed to do. Zillow's not buying this homes. It's designed to capture people's leads and sell them off to the agents who pay the most. And by the way, the thing about these agents, Zillow doesn't vet agents. Zillow doesn't do quality control. Zillow doesn't say you qualify or not to be a premier agent. That's the other problem. It's not like Zillow is really making sure that the agents who pay are the better agents. It's just he who pays is the one who gets the leads. I hate that.
Okay, you said something was not true there, Jason. What were you referring to?
I forgot. Sometimes, yeah, it was early on in the...
we need a notepad for Jason.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hayden, can you go get a notepad for Jason?
It's all right. I'm sure we'll circle back to it at some point, yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was something about he was saying that the purpose of the program is to lead generate. In other words, it's a bait and switch. It's a
the disclosure. I'm sorry. Yeah, you mentioned that it was never disclosed to the people. When it says clearly exactly how the instant offers program works is you're going to get 3 offers from our institutional investors and a CMA from one of our premier agents. It's blank. Even on Inman and the sites, they laid out exactly how they were going to do the program. So to say it wasn't disclosed is simply not true.
No, what's not disclosed is that the purpose of the program is to lead generate.
We fundamentally disagree
the purpose of Zillow is lead generation.
Yes,
you know
but
that.
The instant offers was to fill this niche which Open Door is creating and Redfin now is jumping into. They want to be there too, and they're going to get leads for their premier agents on the back end of it, but they tell you right away that this is to generate, you're going to get 3 offers and a CMA from one of our agents. It was never hidden. You said it wasn't disclosed.
No, what I said isn't disclosed is the purpose of instant offers. Zillow is not a buyer. Let's take one of the buyers.
Right.
Open Door, OfferPad, those. They're buyers. Fair enough.
Right.
Do I like their model? No. But do I sit and criticize them? No. Because they are what they are. They buy homes for less, sell them for more.
It's been around for ages.
Been around for ages. I go back to when ERA, back in the 1980s, if we don't sell your home, we'll buy it. I get that.
Yep.
The problem with instant offers is that it's designed to generate leads and sell them off. It's really designed just to take me as a home seller, get me to think, wow, that sounds cool, go in, and then end up being a solicitation target for agents. That's the problem with instant offers.
I see that as a byproduct. I see that as they're jumping into the iBuyer scenario, and now they're actually going to have a way to incorporate real estate agents into that transaction as opposed to Open Door, which is literally their mission is to cut real estate agents out of the transaction. Well, that's where your eyes should be if you're worried about real estate agents being eliminated from the transaction.
Wow, it is really hard to stay out of this. Just to sit here and just watch this go down, it's really difficult for me.
But let me just say, with respect to that, actually real estate agents are cut out of the transaction because with an instant offer, if the seller accepts the instant offer from one of the investors, there's no real estate agent involved.
They're still encouraged to get agents.
They're encouraged, but
sure.
there's no real estate agent involved. They have to pay if they want an agent.
Right.
They have to pay, so they end up selling for less, paying a 9% service fee, and then go out and hire an agent too.
It's always been like that if they go to a WeBuyHomes.com.
Well, I understand, but I'm just saying, don't say that Zillow is setting it up so that the people who sell through instant offers have agents. They don't.
Didn't say if they sell through instant offers they have agents. What they're getting is the opportunity to have an agent CMA their house, and if they still choose to go that way with the institutional investor, so be it. They're still going to get recommended to get an agent, but at that point, it's out of Zillow's hands. They're not a brokerage. They're a marketplace.
But do understand the CMA is without seeing the home. One of the things I often say about the Zestimate is you shouldn't marry a man without meeting him,
sure.
and you can't value a home without seeing it.
Totally.
So the CMAs are worthless.
I've done CMAs without being inside homes, so I'm sure 50 years, I'm sure you have too, and you know how to kind of analyze a market condition and based on the comps, here's my best knowledge CMA, I have to get inside the home to really give you a real CMA.
And that's the point. It's simply designed as a lead gen tool for the premier agents. The only CMAs that come are from premier agents, agents who pay. They're paying
for the leads. Now, Zillow is not the nonprofit organization. They have premier agents. Absolutely. I don't even think that's a topic to.
No, we're not debating that topic.
Good.
Yeah,
this is amazing. You guys are doing extremely well right now with this debate. I mean, I'm super stoked to have you both here. Both very passionate on their sides of things. And there you go, Jason. There's a pad. So when Greg gets rolling, you can take some notes.
I like it.
We are going to check in on the poll and also check in with our in-studio audience. So our in-studio audience, let Jade know if you have a question, we will get to at least one of you, or if you want to add a comment to this, we will get there as well. And we're also going to be checking in on comments online as well. This is starting to get ramped up. It looks like the last time I checked in, Jason had gained some ground here in this poll as it is currently refreshing. And yes, a lot of ground gained by Jason in the last topic there, as we have gone from a huge swing from 90-10 to basically 70-30, making moves. JC, the champion, although he came in as the champion, he's been sort of the underdog from the beginning here. You can vote on the Smarter San Diego page. The link is in the comments below. Also on the page on the left-hand side, you'll see right there where it says poll. In the lower left-hand side, that is where you can vote in this great Zillow debate. All right, so in-studio audience, who has a question for me? No, you guys got shy all of a sudden? They're like, man, we can't compete with these guys. All right, that's all right. Don't worry about it. We're going to get to comments after this next topic. So, guys, it's time for topic number 3. And Greg will be starting with you. So, Jason, get your notepad out.
Okay.
All right. Is Zillow's co-marketing program unethical or legitimate?
Well, I am also an attorney. I don't know if you knew that.
I did,
so I want to be accurate in my wording, extremely accurate. With respect to it being unethical, I don't think that's the right question. I don't know whether it's ethical or not ethical, but with respect to legal, I would simply say that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau conducted a 2-year, this is well publicized, a 2-year investigation of Zillow and determined that their co-marketing program was illegal. So I didn't do the investigation. I'm not going to sit here and say that the program is illegal. I'm simply going to say the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau did a thorough investigation for 2 years, absolutely determined that it was illegal, and has told Zillow, based on everything I read, okay, so what I read, has told Zillow that you will either settle and you will pay a major league fine and you will clean that program up, or we're taking you to court. So I'm just going to presume the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau knows what it's doing, and the program is, I don't know about unethical, but definitely illegal.
Yeah, you're not going to get much from me on this. I think a lot of what happened with the CFPB was even over my pay grade here. But there is this. They have to be careful in how they kind of petition the lender-agent relationship. I think they did that. I think they changed it from preferred lenders to premier lenders. Even they're changing a little bit of the wording on the site just for that reason, because they're not trying to tie lenders to agents. But we've kind of always had gray area RESPA situations going on in the industry. You have lender co-marketing when you're doing farming and things like that. At the end, you cannot force someone to use a lender. You know what I mean? Sometimes on cross-quals even, and that was a big topic on a debate show in the past, is are cross-quals legal or ethical? It's very gray area. I think Zillow needs to do a good job about explaining that you're free to use anybody. Here's people who have worked well in the past, and here's their reviews, but don't tie that together. So, but he was right. There was a CFPB issue a couple years ago, and so as to the legality of it, I think they're working through it. The ethicalness of it, it's a gray area. As if they do it right, it's fine. If they, if they're not tying it together, if they tie it together, they'll be in trouble.
Gotcha.
And I would just respond, and I agree. But I still look at the bigger picture. Why is Zillow even doing this? It's just more of lead generation. It's just more taking the agents who pay for business and trying to reward them in ways that now have been found to be illegal. I'm just of a view, and I hope it's not an old-fashioned one, but I'm just of a view that we should be, again, waking up every morning thinking about how we can take care of the members of the audience. You have a home you want to buy, you have a home you want to sell. I believe what we should be thinking about, what Zillow should be thinking about every morning, is how can we do a better job getting that done? Not how can we take agents who are paying for leads and somehow supplement that through co-marketing programs and all this complex, what I'm going to call stuff. I just think that Zillow and the people around it and the people who are supporters of it, and this is not being critical of you because, Jason, I looked at your background. I met your broker this morning. We talked. I think you're a fantastic person. I would list my home with you.
Well, thank
this
you.
isn't a, I mean that.
Yeah.
This isn't, I mean that. And I'm 50 years in the business. I know what I'm talking about. And
like that.
you are a good person and a good agent.
Thank you.
It's just about this. See, I would so much rather you spend your money building your brand, letting people in San Diego know how good you and your brokerage are, rather than building Zillow's brand. That's what I want for you. And I know that's kind of like father talk, and I apologize for that. I understand you're getting married in about a month, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I have my youngest son's getting married in San Diego in January.
Yeah.
But I just see a different world of real estate. I see a world where all of us, including a company like Zillow, you know, the #1 brand where people go search for homes, that these executives wake up every morning thinking about how they can help us do a better job for our buyers and sellers, not how can they do what they're doing, you know, on the co-marketing program, and what can we do to generate more leads. And I don't mean to overtalk it, but
No,
that's just.
I think the co-marketing's been around a long time, right? You've been able to partner with lenders and title and escrow, and now even that's been kind of clamped on to throw parties or client events and things like that. So I think what Zillow's always trying to do is bring that to the online marketplace, right? So connect lenders and agents who can then supplement each other's, just like they were in the real world. And people, title and escrow companies all over the place got snapped up when RESPA just a few years back, and now Zillow caught a pinch when they were doing, you know, naming them premier lenders instead of preferred lenders. I think they'll work that out. And I think you're right too, on a macro level, Zillow's a pillar of lead generation, but it's not the overall business. And there is a majority of, even on a micro level, mine, but on a macro level, business is still done shaking hands, door knocking, you know, past sales, geo farming, everything. Zillow is just a small subset of lead generating business that I love, and I know there's thousands of agents out there that make it a core part of their business, but it's not the end-all be-all. So I like where you're coming from. Back in the day, I would rather you know, get out and kiss babies and shake hands too, because that's the foundation of the business.
It is, totally.
100%. I don't think that's even up for debate either.
But you see, and the problem is that you know that Rich Barton, for example, one of the co-founders of Zillow, look at now you and your business and your life. What'd you say? You're 31 years old.
31.
So you have your whole life in front of you. Yeah. Rich Barton, one of the co-founders of Zillow, was the founder of Expedia and CEO of Expedia, the website that decimated real estate agents.
Travel
agents. Spencer Raskoff and Barton were former Microsoft guys. You can't really believe that their long-term vision isn't to displace you. It is. Believe me, I am so convinced that their long-term vision is to take real estate agents out of the equation, to make us beholden to them, to put us in a position where he or she who pays the most is the one who survives. In fact, this morning, I understand that their Zillow was on Inman, I understand, and it was just one of the people was telling me that they are making a deal with Facebook that's going to favor agents who pay $5,000 or more a month, or $60,000 or more a year. That the vision is that agents who pay the big dollars are the agents who are going to benefit from a Zillow Facebook program. That's not right. That's not fair. There was a day probably when you couldn't have afforded $60,000 a year.
Not a chance.
It wouldn't have been fair.
Right.
And so I believe that Zillow and the partners it's developing around it have a whole different view. They want to institutionalize and commoditize real estate, and I believe that's bad for our industry. I think people like you at 31, Jason, you are what real estate's all about, not the Zillows and not the Zestimates and not this commoditized model. And by the way, not the offer pads and the HomeVestors. You'll do better for any home seller any day than any of those things.
Totally, but during my first 5 years, I did not have the at-bats to get in front of those people to really show what I could do if it was not for Zillow and my ability to buy leads. So I think there's a macro level to this that goes without saying, that you have to be good at what you do. You have to know your area, your local market, you have to be personable, and you have to be really, really good. And then if you buy leads, you'll be very successful because it's just more at-bats. If you're really, really bad at what you do, you're only going to be able to buy leads for a little bit because the ROI won't be there because you're not good at what you do. I think that underlying statement, it goes without saying.
So I have to respond to that. So when I first got started in the business, and it was 1967 I got my license, so I just was getting rolling in 68. I didn't have money, and I hear what you're saying. I didn't have leads, I didn't have business, and in fact, the first month or two that I went out on listing appointments, nobody would list with me. And by the way, my dad even owned the real estate firm that I worked for, and I was using the dad card, but I still couldn't get a listing. So you're right, but then I figured it out. I figured out how to market myself in a way that would get me in the door and would get people to list with me. I've done several videos on that. And what happened is I listed the next 10 homes in a row as a brand new agent by offering home sellers a program that was right for a new agent. And what happened? I built my brand, I built my reputation, and I did it what I consider to be the right way, not the Zillow way.
Totally.
And that's what I want you to do.
I like that. There's 170 million people that visit the site, right? We've kind of established it's the big daddy in the room. I guess Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com is all lumped here, but we're talking Zillow because it's the big elephant in the room. What I can do now that you couldn't have done 50 years ago is showcase my skill, my reviews, kind of bring it all together in one place where everybody in the country is already looking. And that's something that would have taken years to establish that I can now do in 5 or less.
Wow, this is great. You guys are amazing. Tremendous. The great Zillow debate is underway. Let's check in. We're going to get to some comments here. We have a lot of people commenting. I just want to be able to show those and read some of those. But I want to also check in and see how the voting is going. It looks like Jason has made up a little bit more ground here. Greg, it looks like you have almost an exact 2/3 of the vote right now, but Jason, you've continually climbed throughout the debate today.
He's younger, he's better looking. I mean, come on, I'm at such a disadvantage.
He's got the experience and a huge following online, so that's it's going to be tight.
Okay, so here is what a couple of people have said, and there are a lot of comments here. Of course, vote please on this poll. It's right on the Facebook page, Smarter San Diego. On the left-hand side here, you can see where it says poll. That's where you can vote. The link is also posted down in the comments. We have a lot of people who have reached out and chimed in. You know, someone said it's not 1968 anymore, which I think is, you know, what they're saying is, hey, this is the new wave. You know, get used to it, type of thing. What do you say to something like that, Greg?
I'm glad you asked. It's not 1968 anymore, but that doesn't change the fact that the thing we do hasn't changed since 1968. Home sellers still call us when it's time to sell and need us to sell a home. Home buyers still call us when they need to buy a home and they want a person who's smart and knowledgeable to help them. I think everybody at this table, and I hope everybody out there would agree, that hasn't changed. What's changed since 1968 is that instead of marketing our homes and connecting with people through primarily print advertising, etc., we do it online. And of course, we've learned a lot about marketing homes, but that's the big thing, would you not agree, that's changed? I mean, over these last 30, 40 years, we still do the same basic things, helping people sell and buy. It's just the way we connect and the way we market is a lot more online.
I think there's been a lot of changes in the industry, obviously, on a micro level. Yeah, we're online now, you know, no more MLS books, yada, yada, yada. But on the macro level, I think what we do helping home sellers and home buyers, that role has even changed over the last 10 years. And Zillow is probably the biggest part of that. We home buyers don't need us to go see homes as much anymore. That's just fundamentally changed. Home buyers can go online, type in a zip code, find out the school district, find out the crime rate, find out everything, property tax information, so to say that nothing has changed in the last 10 years, but really, you know, since 1968 is I think false. I think the home buying process has completely changed.
I didn't say nothing's changed. I said what has primarily changed is the advent of online.
Right.
And it's true that, and I love it,
yeah,
the fact that home buyers, what a load it takes off of us,
right,
that home buyers can go online and find so much, that everything is so transparent. That is totally a good thing. Yeah. I'm simply saying, comparing still back in 1968, once a home buyer, back in 68, home buyers had to drive around and look for signs, right? Yeah. Now they can go online. That's a great thing. Yeah. But it doesn't change the fact that whether it was 1968 or today, when a member of the audience or somebody else is looking to buy or sell a home, I still believe that they are so much better served, Jason, by having us in the equation by not.
Oh, totally. 100%.
And I believe that the view of the Zillow model is a commoditized model. Why would they be partnering with OfferPad and institutional investors and offering an instant offers program and now rolling it into Phoenix if they didn't have a commoditized view?
Because
these are not real estate guys that started and run Zillow. These are tech guys. They've never sold a home and they don't have a real estate license. They don't get it.
But they see that niche growing throughout the country, you know, by thanks to Open Door and others, and they're playing in that space. If they don't and they wait too late to jump in that space and someone else establishes market share, they're behind the 8 ball. That's all for the instant offers part. I mean, Zillow's, again, I've mentioned it before, their revenue is made by agents. It doesn't behoove them to put us out of business. That's where they make their revenue.
It doesn't behoove them to put us out of business. What it behooves them to do is extract the most money out of us they can, because that's 75 to 80% of their revenue. And so I agree they don't want to put us out of business. What they want to put out of business are the agents who don't pay Zillow. That's who they want to put out of business.
I have another comment here I would like to get to from Shannon Harrington, who has commented, what is wrong with using your marketing budget to put your listings where the buyers will see them? Being a premier agent on the site that buyers love? Question mark. Isn't this good business? Question mark. I'm so confused about what is confusing about this.
Yeah.
Greg?
So great comment. As I said earlier, when Zillow came to the real estate, there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, I'm not sitting here advocating that if you as a real estate agent take a listing, that you shouldn't put it on Zillow. I hate the fact that perhaps you should because they have so much buyer traffic, but the fact is they do. And always what we have to think about is what is in the best interest of our home sellers and home buyers. Since Zillow has traffic, we do probably need to put listings up there that will appeal to that traffic. Here's the problem. When you put a listing on Zillow, Zillow's website is not designed to help you sell the listing. The listing's there, but the whole business model, as you admitted, Jason, is a lead generation business model. So if you don't pay Zillow and you put your listing on Zillow, you end up with 3 other agents sitting next to your listing who do what? Who look like they're also listing agents. They're called premier agent, premier agent, premier agent. So what happens is you as a listing agent end up losing buyers who would otherwise call you. But the more important thing is buyers end up talking with an agent who they think is knowledgeable about the home, but 9 times out of 10 has never seen the home. I just had an example of this happen with Teresa, who works in my company. She went out to show one of our listings. Buyers came through with an agent. Buyers walked in, and the buyers looked at Teresa and said, "Who are you?" And she says, "Well, I'm the listing agent." And they looked at their agent and they said, "We thought you were the listing agent," because it was one of the agents listed next to the listing. They thought they were talking with a knowledgeable agent, and they weren't. So in answer to that question, the problem is Zillow is the big name. Zillow is where buyers go, but Zillow isn't thinking every morning, Raskoff and Barton and all those people, how can we help this person better sell their home? It's how can we get more agents to pay money? That's my problem with Zillow.
But it sounds like you have the problem. The problem then that it sounds like is that you have a problem with internet syndication as a whole, because every agent in this audience and in the country has a website, and it pulls listings from all across their MLS, and then it showcases the very tiny fine print at the bottom, listing agent is so-and-so brokerage, but all over the website, they're collecting the buyer leads. Zillow's doing the same thing, but Zillow actually has the courtesy of putting the listing agent 3 separate times in big bold letters and telling you who the listing agent and listing brokerage is. Every other agent in the country has an IDX, and they hide it down under the fold somewhere. So it sounds like your problem isn't with Zillow, it's with internet syndication as a whole.
Great point, and that's not my problem, and I'm glad you brought that up. Internet syndication, IDX feeds, agents doing this. You see, the difference is when Zillow came to our industry, I was there, I was selling, and when Zillow came to our MLS and NAR leaders, they said, we are going to help you sell homes. Give us the IDX feed, give us your listings, and we'll design a website that helps you sell homes. What they did instead was design a website that doesn't help us sell homes. It only peripherally does that. The purpose of the website is to generate leads for agents. So that the IDX, and so Zillow is different from all the brokers and everybody who uses the IDX feeds. Why is Zillow different? Because Zillow is not a competitive brokerage. On the one hand, Jason, you and I compete for listings in business, and on the other hand, we help each other sell our properties. It's one of the coolest things about our business is that we go out and we compete for a listing by saying, I'm amazing, and you say you're amazing, and then the sellers make a choice, but then we help each other sell our listings. So that's for us to have the IDX feeds and compete that way is fine. Zillow's different. Zillow is not supposed to be a competitor of ours, and yet what do? They use our listings in order to what? In order to generate leads that they sell off. So I'm not saying that IDX feed is bad. I'm saying that Zillow is a neutral. Zillow should not be doing what brokerages are doing. Zillow should be helping everybody, not helping the agents who pay it the most. That's my problem. And if they're, by the way, if they're going to brand agents, if they're going to say I'm a premier agent, if they're going to have reviews and do the things they do, then they ought to do it. They ought to spend some of their billions, and they ought to really vet agents. They ought to take an agent like you and really vet you so that the agents they present to consumers, that these agents are truly the agents who have done the better job. That's my problem with the whole review system.
I think it's much better than it was before Zillow, or maybe in the early stages of Zillow, when you could have an agent website, and if you knew how to SEO properly, you could show up on the first page of Google, or you could pay for the first page of Google. Someone would go to your website, and they would think that you were the expert on the local market because that's what your website said, but you had no checks and balances. There were no reviews there were no past sales being broadcasted, except for what you wanted them to see. What Zillow does now is it levels the bar for everybody. Everybody has a chance to get past sales and reviews in that area, and then it showcases them, 1 to 10,000 or however many agents are in that area, and it gives the consumer more choice, more knowledge, more choice as to who they're choosing to represent them.
Well, if you, for example, go to Phoenix, I'm from Phoenix, and go into Phoenix and go to the Agent Finder, and what you will find in the Agent Finder is there are, I think, 30,000, 40,000 agents in the Phoenix area. 250 show up on the Agent Finder, and they're all 5-star. I mean, in fact, on consumeraffairs.com, Zillow has these hundreds of complaints. One of the complaints was from a consumer talking about how agents are presented, where they got a bad agent through Zillow, and they tried to put a negative review up, and Zillow took it down. And they put it up again, and Zillow took it down. And it's right there on consumeraffairs.com. These consumers, all these 1-stars, are saying they won't let me put up negative, they'll only let me put up positive. The bottom line is Zillow is favoring, it's not being transparent, it's not being fair to consumers. It's making its agents who pay look better and agents who don't not. That's not right, that's not fair.
I've never heard anything about them hiding 1-star reviews, although if I had to assume, I would say it would be something similar to Yelp, right? Where they have an algorithm in the back end that can detect fake reviews or real reviews and kind of level it out. I don't know much about the Zillow algorithm as to how they showcase which reviews. I don't know of any of mine that have gotten filtered or not filtered, so I'll have to take your word for it on that. But I think the fact that there's a marketplace and a playing field where anybody can showcase Zillow reviews and past sales is a huge improvement based on how it was, where you had to take the agent's website at face value.
And I agree. I'm simply saying that for consumers to analyze agents, I believe that ought to be done in a transparent and fair way, and agents who pay should not look better and be favored over agents who don't. And yet that's what Zillow does, understandably, because that's how they make money.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to buyers and sellers who are really trying to understand who the best agent is. That's my problem with it.
All right, let's check in on the poll, right? Because this is a debate for that belt right there at the end of the table. It says champion on it, bedazzled and everything.
Do we really get to take that home?
You get to take that home if you win.
All right, I get it.
So
I mean, it's his belt. I'm the challenger. I get that.
Let's check the poll here. Looks like I'm still refreshing since I am tethered to my phone. But there was a comment that I wanted to get to, and also it looked like someone reeled the mic in. Was there did someone in the studio want to ask a question or have something to say? Is it Rick? You do? Okay, let's get Rick. Let's get him the microphone, and Rick, go ahead and chime in while we're uploading the poll here.
Okay, the question is, what would change with the consumer's experience if Zillow didn't exist tomorrow?
And you,
Did you want to direct that at anyone?
Both, I guess.
so what would change in the consumer experience?
Right.
Well,
I mean, because ultimately that's our client. That's who we need to favor. That's who we serve, right? Buy, sell, or the
So we're going to say all Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, gone. Like, so I mean,
just Zillow.
If Zillow's gone, then they'll go to Trulia. So I'm just saying all of the internet, or non-brokerage.
Trulia is owned by Zillow.
Yeah, so and Realtor.com is
Zillow.
separate, right? So I'm
Right.
just saying, so you're saying
Our
if all
brand
of
is
those
owned by
people were gone
Murdoch.
tomorrow, what would happen?
Right.
Yeah.
You'd have, I'm assuming where it started, right? Which was the IDX, and the data is available, right? But not necessarily directed to a particular agent for a fee.
So think about this. What if there was one website? Have you heard of Realtor.com?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so Realtor.com was originally owned by NAR, and I can't even imagine why they do it, but they sold it off a few years ago for $950 million to News Corp, Rupert Murdoch. So we don't even own our own brand. But let's just talk about that. Let's say there was one website. Realtors have listings, okay? So all these listings that Zillow leverages and uses are realtor listings. So what if there was one website, and it was a website that was, we'll say, owned by realtors, and a website that was overseen by a committee of people who are in real estate, not just tech execs, but people who care, who, like me, 50 years, I've sold over 1,000 homes. I care. You ask any one of my 1,000 clients, and they will tell you Greg Hague cared. So what if there was a website designed and built and managed by people who care, people who know real estate, people who weren't there to bring people in and lead generate and sell them off to the highest bidder, but rather who were thinking every morning, a whole team of people based somewhere, about how can we take you and give you as a buyer a better experience, not turn you into a solicitation target? How can we take a home seller and not have inaccurate valuations posted below your asking price that could drive buyers away or cause you to sell for less? That's what I love online. I love transparency. I love everybody in the audience being able to go in and find out everything right now. I just want to make sure that what you find out is the accurate, right stuff, and you're not misled and taken down a wrong path. So I'm all about a Zillow kind of a thing. I'm just not all about Zillow's model. I'm about a model that thinks about every morning, not how can we collect more money from real estate agents and trap more people and sell them off. I'm about a model that we wake up every morning is, how can we give buyers a better experience? How can we give them more information? And how can we help sellers sell their homes? That's what I'm about. And by the way, if you go to stopzillow.com, I have a thing on there called The Plan to Save Real Estate, and that's exactly what it's all about. If you read it, and I have another part there that's the consumer warning guide, it talks about the problems right now, the problems in the industry, the problems with companies like Zillow, and why when you buy or sell through Zillow, the things you need to watch out for. It basically is entitled, Think Twice Before You List Your Home on Zillow. Maybe I'm just dreaming, but I really believe there can be one website that is nothing but thinking about you, thinking about buyers, thinking about sellers, overseen by people who you pay and you count on to sell your home, that tells you everything and it's flat out accurate. That's what I'd like to see.
Great question from Rick there, and I think
I
he's
get on
sort
that
of,
question
yes,
now?
absolutely.
Okay.
He's hold on one second. He's sort of basically saying the underlying theme today, which is the real estate market better off with or without Zillow? That is essentially the question.
Segue into this question
that he was asking. So Jason, what do you say?
To answer the question, what if Zillow was gone tomorrow? Because you gave of a new Phoenix from the Ashes, this new site that kind of everybody goes to. But if Zillow was gone tomorrow, that wouldn't exist yet, right? That would take months to build.
It would take
anyway,
months,
right?
yes.
So if Zillow was gone tomorrow, we would start to regress back into a compartmentalized world where buyers need their agents to send them MLS searches. MLS searches, I use Real Scout, but you can use your MLS. There's tools out there to email the listings over and schedule showings and things like that. Basically, we would be regressing back to a point not 10 years ago when they started, but somewhere around 4 or 5 years ago that the buyers were reliant on their agents to tip them off about new listings, as well as then they would have to go to the city website to figure out what the property taxes and past sales were, and then they'd have to go to the school zones and figure out. We have that all together. Now Zillow built a business on this, and they built $170 million or 170 million traffic website. Their business model is making money from real estate agents. So that's what paid for the beast as to what we have now, for sure. But it's also consumer, super user-friendly. Consumers love the site, and it's here now over the course of 10 years of building it. So if Zillow were gone tomorrow, there's going to be a dark ages of nothingness in the internet kind of home search area until his Phoenix site gets brought together, and then we have one monster site. Dictatorship.
Well, no dictatorship.
With no choices to go to.
No,
and,
no, that wouldn't be the case. But first of all, would you agree that Zillow could be a lot better in terms of the way it serves buyers and sellers?
I think they're hitting it out of the park.
Really?
Yeah. 100%.
So
I think they're nailing
you
it.
wouldn't.
There's small changes. There's 2 or 3 things in the last 5 years that I'm like, I wish they kind of changed that. But it's so, I've made the decision that it's so minuscule that I like what they're doing and what their model, their marketplace of connecting buyers, listings, and agents all together. They've done such a good job, and I hate to say it, but it's evidenced by their success and their thriving business model.
Why do you hate to say that?
I'm just saying, like, for the sake of this debate.
So there's, first of all, their success. I understand, based on what I read, their success isn't that much success. Number one, they haven't made a profit.
Any business in a growth phase will tell you that.
In a growth phase?
Yeah,
anybody. 10, 12 years old?
Right, correct. They're still getting market share. They're still growing. So any business in that phase is reinvesting profits back into growth. I mean, I feel like they could flip a couple scripts, stop growing in market share, and probably post a profit tomorrow. That's not what they're doing. They're massively going wide before they go deep.
Well, so let's go back to this website model I spoke about. So you would actually prefer to have a world where the purpose of a website is to lead generate, as opposed to the purpose of a website is to help people buy homes and help people sell homes.
We have those. We have those right now. Our MLS provides us with websites that only showcase me and my listings, and they suck. And so
no, I agree they suck.
And what I'm saying, though, is that what Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com have done is they've created choice, and they've created options for the consumers. And they're extremely transparent, and they've built it on the business model of taking agents' advertising dollars and, in my case, really paying them off on ROI, but they've taken that model, but it's worked.
It's worked to help agents who pay Zillow generate leads, but how is a home buyer being misled by an inaccurate Zestimate, which we all acknowledge are inaccurate? How is that better? How is that serving consumers? How is a program like Instant Offers that is luring people into thinking that they're going to get a quick offer on their home that they're going to like, and 199 out of 200 don't, and then they become a solicitor? How does that help consumers? I mean, how does favoring reviews for 5-star for Zillow agents help consumers? I don't see that at all.
Because the consumer wants to do that.
Wants to do what?
The consumer wants to go type in their name and address and get an instant offer, or else they wouldn't do it. So by Zillow putting that option there, they're just servicing the consumer. They want to do that. If they didn't want to do that, they wouldn't be there. If they love the site, 170 million people traffic the site every month, or whatever the statistic is, they're telling us that they love having their tax school systems and all the information about a house that most crappy agents don't know. Good agents will know all that stuff like the back of their hand, but a lot of crappy buyer's agents out there don't know that stuff. They can go to Zillow and get all their questions answered in one stop. They love that.
Well, yes, except the problem is that a lot of the questions that they're having answered incorrectly.
A few of the questions,
well,
anecdotally, have been incorrect.
Based on studies like Wave.com, only about 75% of all the homes that are for sale are on Zillow. So 1/4 of all the homes that are for sale you don't even get to see. That's number one. Number two, based on that study, about 1/3 of the homes that show up for sale on Zillow aren't for sale at all. And so consumers are misled there, so they're misled by, they're not getting to see all the homes that are for sale. This website I envision, they'd all be there. Number two, some of the homes they're thinking are for sale, they're not for sale. Number three, they're getting misled. You guys are getting misled on value. Number four, if you're a home seller, you might have a value posted on your home that causes buyers not even to want to look at your home. And number four, the people you go in to get this quick, fast offer on your home with instant offers, you're not going to take it, but what you're going to do is start getting pounded on by real estate agents who want you to list with them. I think that's a horrible model. I'm all about you guys being able to go in and get information and everything being there. I just want it to be the right information, not information that is so inaccurate, and that's what you have on Zillow. People get hurt every day on Zillow, and that's, for example, why one of the reasons that they have the problems they do. Class action lawsuits on Zestimates, you know that exists, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Zillow is not a good business model.
We fundamentally disagree.
Yes, we do. Sorry.
That's why you guys are here right now.
That's why we're here.
I don't think that's too much of a shock.
And I want to say one other thing. I agree that I wouldn't want Zillow to be gone tomorrow and everybody be in the dark ages. I'm not about that. I'm about the real estate industry coming together, building a better website, building one that serves everybody in this audience better, then letting everybody, buyers, sellers, try it for free, everybody for free. We can do this. We pay $200 million a year to NAR.
Yeah.
I would think that we could get this done and let these people choose. Have Zillow be there, have that website be there, let the consumers choose what's best for them. That's what I want to get done.
We have there's comments that I want to get to. I also want to do an update on the poll right now. That championship belt that you're looking at the front of the table there is up for grabs today. These guys are debating for that belt. We have results to post here, and once again, Jason Cassidy has made up a little bit of ground here. So the voting is real. It's live. It's happening right now on the Smarter San Diego page. There's a link posted in the comments below. You can vote there right here on this page. I'm pulling this up just directly on our Smarter San Diego page on the left. You see here where it says poll. Go right there, and you can vote, and it will give you the results immediately after you vote. You can also just pull up the results right here if you've already voted to see exactly where this stands. And you've continued to close the gap, Jason, so you're doing something right here. But this isn't done yet. It's not over, and we have more questions from the studio audience. So, Nadia, what's up?
Hi, great
It's
job,
you now.
guys, so
Yes.
far. So you mentioned, Jason, that they're hitting it out of the park. I agree from a business standpoint they are. Their investors must be very happy. But I have to agree with Greg on this, that they're not doing it. They owe responsibility to the consumer. They have more knowledge, they have more ability, and they're misguiding people. And we were just chatting that we've had quite a few listings recently, neither of us pay for our leads on Zillow, that don't show up on Zillow. So why?
Are you
So we
here are you in San Diego?
Yeah, we're both
So now
here.
that they, just recently, a couple months back, they syndicated to where you can't manually input listings anymore. I
Right,
think that was a
understood.
big deal for them for the last 3, 4, 5 years, was that people were manually inputting listings and then not taking them down. So you would have something showing for sale that's not for
Right,
sale
but their
anymore.
algorithm can tell if something's listed on a coming soon and then it comes up live as an active listing from their IDX lead from
Exactly.
the MLS, that should cancel each other out. What was happening is they wouldn't take it down themselves, and it was misleading the buyer. So we were getting calls, one from our sellers saying, why isn't this on Zillow?
Right.
And then I was getting calls saying, where's this listing? It's saying it's active. I'm like, that sold 3 months ago.
Right.
So in that, I think they could fine tune that because there's
Totally.
a responsibility to that. I also know that if, I don't know how much you pay for your premier spot, but I can come on tomorrow and outbid you. You can then turn around and outbid me. And maybe in our situation, we're both good realtors, but that doesn't mean that, that premier agent is. So that's misguiding the buyer as well.
Right.
So I feel like there's a sense of responsibility that they're losing.
That's what the reviews and the past sales are for, right?
Right, but if the reviews are possibly skewed in any way or they're not as accurate.
I don't know about any skewing.
But
of
if it's on the
reviews, I don't know.
consumer guide, I mean, at some point that
Yeah.
has to be considered, and I think that's totally misleading. And again, from a business standpoint, as an investor, I'd say great.
Yeah.
But how many people get hurt for that process? I think if we could build off of Greg's idea of getting one solid website, possibly the MLS, where we're all held to the same standards, where we have to give the same information, and we're legally and ethically bound to do so,
Yes.
I think levels the playing field for everybody, and then it creates good business, I think, practice, because you only get business if you're good, and if
Right.
you're not good, get good.
Right.
Like, go out there and be better.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that spurs a better feeling around. You know, I hate to sound a little cheesy, but for society as a whole as well, it's not just what you can buy makes you good.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Good talk. I haven't
I haven't
mind-
voted yet, but I think I know where I am.
I wouldn't mind seeing something. I've mentioned this before too. It was one of my 2 or 3 tweaks over the past 5 years. There's something where you meet a minimum 10 sales in the past 12 months and 5-star reviews to be able to be a premier agent or something like that. That would be some sort of interest, something I'd be interested in seeing. Just a thought. It's in the clouds though.
So there's a comment that
And let me just address this.
Yeah,
if I
please,
could.
please.
And also in addressing that is you correctly, in your first name?
Nadia.
Nadia. We are obligated, number one, under the licensing law. Zillow's not. Number two, we have a code of ethics. Most of us belong to the NAR. We adhere to a code of ethics. So as you correctly point out, this website that I'm talking about, not killing off Zillow right away, but building being competitive, building something better ourselves, where we have ethical standards, we have legal standards that we follow, buyers are better served, sellers are better served. I'm simply saying we as an industry, where are our leaders? We as an industry, people need to step up. We need to look at that and realize that the Zillow model is not the best model that could exist. And we need to get some leaders. We need to come together. Let me just mention this. Travel agents weren't displaced because of technology. Travel agents were displaced because of inaction and fragmentation. They didn't come together and put together a better Expedia. Bookstore owners weren't displaced because of Amazon, because of technology. They were displaced because of inaction and fragment. They didn't come together and put together a better Amazon before Amazon. I'm simply saying that we should come together as an industry, not have our website run by tech people, have our website run by real estate people that hire tech people. It will be a better website for our buyers and sellers. That's what I think.
I hear the Amazon bookstore travel agent thing. I hear that a lot, right? The record stores, like industries that have gone by the wayside, like
Taxi cabs.
Don't let that happen to us. But I feel like we also have a role in a transaction that's unlike any of those other businesses. Bookstores went out of business because Amazon came in, but a lot of stores are going out of business because Amazon is coming in. While Zillow's changing the way people search for homes, they're not there for the inspection and the appraisal and to walk you through the other 29 steps that we know are very important to real estate transactions. They're really just modifying that first step, that home buying process, the home search process, and connecting to agents to then take it from there.
And I'm simply saying that we as an industry could build that first step out in a way that is better for home buyers and home sellers than Zillow has done. That's all I'm saying. That's what we care about. Zillow doesn't. Zillow cares about its shareholders. You, Nadia, me, you, Jason, you care about your home buyers and sellers.
I do.
That's all I'm talking
about. I do. And I've been connected with so many more than I could have because of Zillow.
Yeah, but if we had this better website, you'd be connecting with them in a better way.
How? If I couldn't, how would I connect to them in a better way? If I couldn't buy advertising on the site, how would I ever basically connect with those buyers and sellers? Other than just having my own website or something like that,
no,
right? That's
if we had one website that was a better website for home buyers and home sellers, that's where they'd all want to be, and that's how you would connect with them. And the only difference is that they wouldn't be misled.
Well, hold on. I'm going to put the kibosh on that because this is a theoretical website.
It's not theoretical. It's one we're going to do. It's not theoretical.
Right? It is theoretical right now. It doesn't exist. So I don't want to allow you to argue for a website that doesn't exist.
Okay.
I don't think that would be fair. But I do see we have another question from the in-studio audience. Mr. DeVore, you are up.
Yeah, so just real quickly, clarification. Zillow stock actually took a big hit last week with this newest lawsuit, and I'll be curious to see what happens now that the leaders of Zillow have been named in a lawsuit for the co-branding, the co-marketing, and so forth. But I want to get some input from you guys as far as the instant offers. One of the complaints about Zillow is that they're saying, okay, well now Zillow's not been a broker, not been involved in the transaction. Now they are. Now they're acting like a broker.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that question?
Jason,
how so? How are they acting as a broker?
So
how are they acting as a broker?
Well, they're getting involved in the transaction by having the investors, introducing them to the buyers. They're acting like an agent.
And you're right. And let me explain exactly why, how they're doing that.
That's the debate.
Okay.
I want to know what your
Can I
opinions
address that?
Sure.
Or do you want to first?
No,
You-
my thesis on it is that they're not. They're just they're the marketplace for the transaction to happen, but they're not. Yeah. So now you can go.
Okay, all right. So I believe they are. I believe you're right, and let me tell you why. Typically, what realtors do is we'll take a home and we'll try to find buyers, and that's brokerage, right? We have a home and we try to find buyers and we try to sell it. That's agreed?
Yeah.
So what Zillow's doing with instant offers is just the opposite. They have buyers. Who are the buyers? They're 15 institutional investors, and they're trying to find sellers. No difference, same thing, just turning it around. They're facilitating the connection of buyers and sellers. Here are our 15 buyers, and instead of having a home and marketing it to try to attract buyers, they have 15 buyers, and they're trying to market those buyers to attract sellers. It is absolutely brokerage, and the only reason they're getting around it, I understand that both in Florida and in Nevada, where they rolled out the program, that they're being looked at and in terms of do they need a real estate license, and the only way they're getting around that is they're not charging. They're doing the connection. They're doing everything we do in terms of that. They're just not charging a fee to the buyer or seller. But you see, that's misleading. That's misleading because to the extent that they generate more traffic, they get bigger fees from agents. So they're getting paid for it. They're just doing it indirectly. It's more of the consumer financial protection stuff. They just walk the line. They do not care. You can't possibly believe that the Zillow executives wake up every morning thinking about how can we better serve the real estate industry. They just don't.
No, I think they think about how they can better serve their agents, though.
And I think they ought to be thinking about how they can better serve buyers and sellers.
They do. I mean, these buyers, we've crossed this already with instant offers, but these buyers want to get an instant offer, and they've just created the marketplace for them to come and do that.
The buyers can go to OfferPad or HomeVestors or whatever. Zillow, if I felt Zillow's instant offers program was really designed to give sellers an offer that they might like or might take, it was a genuine program. I don't like the Zillow model, but it's just whatever. But we know, they even admitted, go read in Inman, that this program is designed to generate leads for their agents. It's designed to capture home sellers and generate leads. It's not designed to do what they say it's doing. That's the problem with instant offers.
It was designed to do what they say it's doing, but a byproduct is they're generating leads for their sellers.
But only 1 out of 200 people are taking it. 199 are saying, I would never take this ridiculous thing.
But those people went there, typed in their name and address, so they wanted to be there. They're not bamboozling anybody.
No, but the people are genuinely thinking they're going there to sell their home. They don't realize they're going there to become a solicitation target for agents who are paying for leads.
I disagree.
Okay, we're going to have one more in-studio comment. If you could hand the mic to the questioner. And I also want to check in on the poll, which Jason has made up a little bit more ground here, up to almost 40%. So this is a 60-40 now. It's tightening up. This is very important because voting is only going to be open for about another 20 minutes or so. So it is time to vote. If you want to wait, you can wait another 15, 20 minutes max. But if you have made up your mind here, go ahead and vote because someone's going to walk away with that belt that's on the front of the table today. It's either going to be Greg or Jason, one of them, and this race has gotten pretty darn tight here. It's now 60-40 as who you think has won the great Zillow debate. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one more question from our in-studio audience, and then we're going to have you guys make your closing arguments, and we will leave the polls open for another 5 or 6 minutes after that while we sit here and just chat and wait for the final results to come in so that we can crown a champion of the great Zillow debate. So let's question right here in the front row, my friend.
So I want to make a comment first that Zillow is a marketing company that gives our sellers exposure to their properties that we would never have the opportunity to do so. And if we want to create a big website that changes the way that exposure comes to be, then we should really be vetting agents ourselves and creating a higher barrier to entry to the market so that Zillow doesn't have that business opportunity that they currently have. And I think that holding them responsible for who we're letting into the business is wrong. They are taking the approach that they're putting information out there for buyers and sellers, and they're allowing buyers and sellers to make informed decisions based on reviews. But to say that they are creating a marketplace where buyers and sellers are being hurt, I think that's a very small number. And I think that if buyers and sellers are being hurt, they're being hurt because there's too many real estate agents out there that don't belong in the business.
Okay, so let's so to summarize his question or his comment, he's saying that it's not Zillow's responsibility to vet licensed agents. It should be you know, the licensing process and the local associations or whoever's responsible for ultimately saying, hey, you have a license. So what do you say to that, Greg?
I would agree. I think that it's absolutely the departments of real estate in the various states who should vet agents and set the standards, and then the National Association of Realtors, we have a code of ethics that we have to follow. I don't hold Zillow accountable to vet agents. I simply say that if the two things Zillow does to me that are so wrong is, number one, everybody knows, I mean, it's clear that a lot of the information they put out on homes, on values, is inaccurate. So that has nothing to do with agents. That's just Zillow causing home buyers and home sellers to be misled and to be hurt. I don't like that. If you call that 1968 and you call that old-fashioned, so be it. It just doesn't work with me when a company blithely every day knows that it's misleading and hurting people, and it just keeps on doing it. After 50 years in the business, I hate that. In terms of agents, my only problem with that is that Zillow favors in its reviews. And I get that, but I think it's wrong. It makes agents who haven't been vetted look better than agents who aren't paying. That's my problem. This isn't about barriers to entry in real estate. This is about a company that has a big brand. And by the way, George, why does Zillow have such a big brand? Because of us, because of our listings. We empowered it. We're the ones that made Zillow. So we made it. My view is it just, because it has used our listings to build its brand, it needs to do a better job of serving the people that we are licensed to serve and that we have an ethical responsibility to serve, George. I'm not suggesting that Zillow has anything to do with the licensing process or bars to entry.
Okay, Jason, do you want to comment on
yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, with George in the sense that there's probably too low of a barrier of entry. You know, 5 years ago, I took a crash course and I passed my test. You know, and that's kind of all you got to do. You have 3 classes to take, and you can do it because you learn how to pass the test, and then you learn real estate. You know, in the trenches. So I know NAR has bounced around ideas about doing some sort of like apprenticeship, or you know, where you're 2 years apprentice and then you're a journeyman and things like that. I get probably above my pay grade. I'll let them kind of figure all that stuff out. But I do echo his sentiment of it's not Zillow's responsibility necessarily to vet the agents coming in. I would like to see something like, you know, been in the business 5 years, something, but I don't think that's really Zillow's responsibility necessarily.
And I agree. I just don't think that Zillow should present agents based on how they pay as opposed to who they are.
I mentioned that, or I wrote that down actually. Thanks for the notepad. I've mentioned this before. I've never seen any evidence of rating manipulation. So what they do when you go to your agent finder, they put Premier Agents across a banner on the top. But then when you can rank it by sales in this neighborhood or reviews, that's all just as is. I've never seen any reviews or evidence of rating manipulation due to Premier Agents. So until that evidence suffices, I can't buy into that.
And I'm only saying it because on consumeraffairs.com there's gazillions of comments from consumers who are saying that that's the case. So I'm simply saying that's just what I've seen online.
Got it. Okay, I want to remind everyone how to vote here as the voting is tidying up quite a bit, and we are coming to a near conclusion for the Great Zillow Debate. Right on the Smarter San Diego Facebook page, which is probably where you're watching this. You could be watching it syndicated on another page, as we've syndicated this on 30 different Facebook pages today. But if you go to the Smarter San Diego page, for sure, there should be links posted in the comment threads throughout any page where you can vote. But if you're having trouble finding them, I'm seeing some text messages come in, people want to vote, they can't find it. It's on the Smarter San Diego page on the left-hand side of the page where it says poll. If you click there, you will be able to vote on the Great Zillow Debate. You simply just select one or the other. There's only 2 answers. Jason Cassidy, he's the guy, Zillow Premier Agent here in San Diego, the reigning champion. I'm using quotations for a reason. He and I both know it. And then Greg Hague, who's from Arizona and the Stop Zillow founder, is on my left. So vote for one or the other. Now is the time to do it. We're going to have closing arguments next. and then we're going to have just a few minutes for Jason and Greg to go out and call their family members and try to get last-second votes before we make the final tally and the final announcement of who has won the Great Zillow Debate. So, okay, interesting. I'm going to take the time to post it myself in the comment thread on Smarter San Diego in case anyone else is having trouble voting. So I will post the link where you can vote in the comment thread in case you're on a mobile device and you're not able to see the poll link, which I'm showing you here on my desktop computer. So as the challenger, Greg, it is your closing statement first. You have 2 minutes to tell us why the real estate market would be better off without Zillow, and go.
Yes, thank you, Derek. And Jason, again, a pleasure getting to know you today and your broker. My view is that Zillow, that the number one thing we need to focus on is the people we serve. It's our home sellers and our home buyers. And it pains me that every day home buyers are misled in multiple ways, which we know. We know they're misled on value. And even if that just hurts one person, 10 people, 40 people a day, which we know there's how many millions of views there, I don't like that. I think that's wrong, and it's so easily correctable because you can't value a home without seeing it. And when a business like Zillow has such a big brand, people, unknowledgeable, first-time home buyers, they presume this stuff is accurate. So that's number one. Number two, the idea that Zillow executives wake up every morning and what they think about is how can we generate more money from real estate agents rather than how can we have a better website to help buyers buy and help sellers sell. I think that's the biggest problem. I think that's the overlying problem here. We need a website that actually helps our sellers sell rather than using our sellers to generate leads for agents who will get outbid and pay the most. That is so wrong. We need a website that serves our, that is designed and managed by people who know real estate and we hire the tech people rather than tech people who've never sold a house, don't have a license, under no ethical obligations, and all they think about every morning is driving shareholder value. That's their job, by the way. That's their job, I get that. Their job is to increase shareholder value, and how do they do that? By extracting the most money they can out of our industry, which, by the way, drives up costs for home buyers and home sellers.
Okay, Greg, I got to cut you
off. Oh, I'm done?
Yep,
okay.
That's it.
The more we have to pay, the more home buyers and home sellers are going to have to pay, and I think that's wrong.
If you think Greg has won the Great Zillow Debate, now is the time to vote. I'm about to post it in the comment thread in case you haven't seen the link where you can vote. That will be in there momentarily. Jason Cassidy, it is your turn for your closing statement. You have 2 minutes.
Derek, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm glad to get in front of the audience. Greg, it's so nice to meet you. We had a good talk back in the green room, too. You're extremely experienced, knowledgeable, and it was an honor to be across from you. I think you're right in the premise that the foundations of this business haven't changed. Shaking hands, door knocking, open houses, all the foundations, right? But Zillow in the last 10 years has come along and created a mecca marketplace that consumers love. And a whole heck of a lot of agents love it too. I think the Stop Zillow movement has kind of a nostalgic, kind of make real estate great again type feel, hearkening back to a day of the pre-internet MLS books, and I just do not think that we are in that era anymore. And so you had some anecdotes that were awesome, the $1 million mobile home and stuff like that. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. They've done a heck of a lot of good, and I think they've changed the industry for the good, and it was great talking to you.
My pleasure, Jason.
Okay, Jason, just so you know, you have another 48 seconds
to
garner votes here.
Vote for Jason. I guess 45 seconds?
Yes, you still have time.
No.
So.
Jason, you are an awesome person.
Thank you for the kind words.
You are an awesome person, and as I said, I would list my home with you any day. I think the world of you.
Appreciate that. That's very nice of you.
Okay, all right, fellas.
And what I'm going to do is give you all my training on how to generate business without Zillow for free. It's yours.
I like it.
So now you see the long con. This
Yeah.
is all been a
long
ruse.
con, that's right.
These are all plants.
Yeah,
This is all our
right.
coaching.
It's all a
Yeah.
ruse. We're not
Nope.
really live right
It's
now.
all for free.
All
It's
for
all for free.
I like it.
Yes.
Okay, fellas, go ahead and step down. Get on the phone. Call your parents. Call your family. Try to solicit as many votes as you can. We will be closing the voting in about 5 minutes from now. A little round of applause for our... Time's up, Jason.
Oh, thank
Time's
you.
up.
Vote for Jason.
Hey, good job, Jason.
Hey, great
You're a
job.
rock star guy.
I'm gonna get my phone. Is that room lock?
They have to go on like Facebook.com, even if they're on their cell phone.
Really? So I'm hearing that you cannot vote from the app,
Yes.
which is extremely strange, if that's actually true.
There's no like left-hand side poll thing. Couldn't find it. It doesn't show up unless you're on.
And when you click on the link that I posted under Smarter San Diego, can you not vote there either?
It's not letting us open it.
Yeah, it says the page isn't there anymore or something.
That's not a hyperlink? It shows as a hyperlink.
Place that really knowledgeable, and then some.
Here, is there a way to kind of like view as desktop?
I would vote on the link you sent us in the email.
If you can't,
That's how I voted.
Wait, where'd you go?
Interesting.
Oh, I haven't.
Oh, sorry.
He sent us an email.
I wonder how so many people are voting then.
Well, they're all doing it if they're at their
If
desktop.
they're on a desktop, yeah.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, let's fix this.
I don't know how we're going to fix that in the next 4 minutes.
How about our vote counts for like, just add 5% to whatever.
So you really can't do it from inside the Facebook app?
We couldn't figure out how. No.
The link just doesn't work.
Go Zillow
Well, I'm just going
exact
on my
type
browser.
people. I'm on browser too and my app.
Did it work that way?
Neither one.
You can't copy the link and put it in the browser?
Poll, by the way, like when I go to the,
Yeah.
it doesn't show up for us like it did here.
That is so interesting. Well,
Who wants the link emailed?
I will certainly apologize for any technical difficulties. I was apparently sold a bill of goods by the app that is inside of Facebook called my Facebook Polls.
Yeah, I think Zillow actually created that.
Yeah, I think it's a Zillow polling system. So I don't know. Find a desktop, figure out how to vote. We have gotten a lot of votes. Jason is continuing to make up ground here as he's now gotten all the way to 41%, but he's been behind the entire time, so we'll see if they can get some additional votes in. We will be closing the voting in just a couple of minutes because I do not know how to handle fixing the issue. And I can't check it myself because I'm using my phone for other purposes. So really apologize if there's anyone who wasn't able to figure out how to vote on this, but I think there's a ton of comments, and that's kind of what I wanted to do in the interim. Check it out. See if you can figure out, if you can get to a desktop, use the link that I posted. I'm going to go ahead and do it again. I'm going to post it in there again. Try to find it. It's in the comments thread. We had some tremendous comments in here today. I mean, that was just a miraculous debate between two really well-educated guys. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just pop into some of the comments here and see before we make the official announcement. So I'm going to call both Jason and Greg back in to announce the winner here momentarily. But you know, let's see. I'm just going to go down the list here. Valerie says there are still travel agents. It's true. I have a travel agent. She's awesome. So they didn't go away completely.
and I'm only
But oh, pause this. Let's see. I can't.
Yeah, it's coming in and out. I just turned down the volume. Oh, okay.
I turned it off. You good? I'm not sure what Clay Davis commented, but it somehow got marked as spam, so there must have been an expletive in there. Sorry, Clay. We don't roll that way. So she says, okay, voting through the link on the desktop works. Okay, many of the votes were in before the debate started, someone said. That's not true. There were some, but not very many. Not drinking the Kool-Aid, instant offers won't destroy the industry any more than the internet did 20 years ago. Yeah, and I don't think Greg ever said that the instant offers were going to destroy the industry. I think he just said that it was misleading, you know, and that's all he was trying to say there. David didn't defeat Goliath. Yeah, that's true. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, Jason Cassidy. Luke Milton says that. What's up, Luke? Main issue with Zillow is that they no longer have realtors' representation in their advertising. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions about the advertising, and no doubt about that being the main driver for Zillow's business. I think both Jason and Greg really handled that one well. If you continue to fight the giant, you will lose. Work with it, and creativity will guide and prosper, says Daniel Perez, which is also a really good piece of information. Daniel Zaragoza says that I've had an $8 million+ listing that had a constant $4 million price swing throughout the listing period. Get rid of Zestimates. That's one example of dozens of examples of personal listings. And yeah, there's no question. There's some things within the entire process of the Zestimate that I think have come into question. Clay Davis says that Greg won hands down. I don't know. I mean, he's leading the voting, but it was definitely a very even debate. I'd planned on trying to score it myself, but just had too many tasks to do while I was moderating, mostly keeping my mouth shut, which was very, very difficult to do. T. Stolpen says Zillow marketed to homeowners and continues to screw agents and extort them into paying outrageous fees to get what should be their own leads. Speaking from experience, they started with a great model but got seriously greedy. I could go on, but that is the gist of my rant. Valerie Garcia says, I disagree. It's not Zillow's job to show the agent's value. That is the realtor's job. Stacy Kelly says, again, we don't need any excuses to want to protect the public, our clients, our information, and our industry. I feel zero need to make excuses for us and have our own protected website. Okay, well, that's definitely one opinion. Let's go ahead and jump in here and check it out. I'm going to refresh. It is that time, technically. Very, very close here. Let's see how it looks as we have run out of time here to vote in the great real estate debate. And of course, it's tethered to my phone because we're broadcasting through through Facebook Live on the big internet connection. So it may take a second for it to refresh. I can see Jason and Greg both looking for the results to pop up. And here it comes. The final results. Let's see who has won the Great Zillow debate. This is like watching dial-up internet. Dial-up internet. I think there are a lot of votes happening right now. I think there are a lot of votes happening right now. That's what's going on. So I'm actually going to refresh it just to make sure.
Check the hanging chads.
Yeah.
We're all waiting here with bated breath for the results to come in. And Greg Hague has won the Great Zillow debate.
Great debate.
59% of the vote. Jason made a very valiant effort.
Should we go up top?
But Greg,
You got it.
come on up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I really get to take this home. This is awesome.
So I don't know if you've ever won a championship belt
Never,
before or
never.
not.
Are you kidding me?
But
Do you know what this means when you're 68 years old?
yeah, we could swing one over here just for the live broadcast. Yeah, just do your best. This is, slightly better than a high school production that we have going on in here, so don't worry if we have a camera pointing the wrong direction. Greg Hague, congratulations to you. You are the Great Zillow Debate champion, and that is your championship belt.
Well, I just want to say this, that Jason, not just an awesome opponent, what an amazing guy. We had a chance to talk before, had a chance obviously to debate, and Jason, you are everything I'd want to be at 31 years old and in the real estate business.
Thank
and
you.
You're going to have an
Appreciate
amazing career, and you're not only just have an amazing career, you're going to have an amazing life, and congratulations on your wedding in a month.
Thank
You're
you
welcome.
very much. I know. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, well, it's time for us to sign off, so I think we should do it probably, Greg, by
Okay.
let's get up close to the camera here and
All
show
right.
them. There it is.
There it is.
That's the belt, baby, right there.
There it is.
There it
There's
is,
the
right
belt.
there, the champion, the Great Real Estate Debate. Thank you all for tuning in. Your comments and your shares are appreciated. Share this post.